Hi. Um,
Hi.
so Esther has been one of my teachers for a few years, and I wanted to do this interview because I've just been so deeply gifted by what I've received, and I would really like to share that because it's like a diamond. It's not easily findable in this world. So thank you, Esther. Um, and we're just gonna speak about whatever seems to come up, but I think part of it, we really want to talk about the woman's experience of stillpoint lovemaking.
Yeah.
So I heard you say on your most, I watched one of the recent videos that you posted. You were with somebody, you were meditating with the woman, and I know you had said in that video that what differentiates your work is that you're not trying to move anything up, you're not trying to circulate the energy, you're just stationing the awareness. And I wanted to see if you wanted to speak about that because that's unique.
Yeah. Because it became clear to me that this human journey or this human passage, rite of passage, is about grounding, really grounding the spirit into the body. But most people don't know how to do that, and most people don't have the space in their bodies. And often they'll go into sexual encounters or sexual processes, sexual somatic processes, let's call it Tantra, and they will still be circulating the energy out, not realizing that they're still doing the psychological deflection of moving away from the body. But because they're touching energy now, they must be one with all that is. But the only one that's here to be with is the body, because that's why we were born. And I'm certainly not saying that, um, like to the degree that I know that we can be grounded, I know that there's quite a way to go, even inside of me. So I really don't understand. I mean, it's a mind shattering, altering experience to have the body realize that it is making love. I mean, that's like the ultimate awareness that someone's organ, particularly, let's say for women, is inside of you at a very deep level. Don't worry, the man has enough trouble working out how he got in there because he's an independent body. Um, so he's been told, and there he is joined, like joined at the deepest level of a multidimensional realm. And I mean, can you hear that? That's what's shattering the mind. And if you're going in, if you've got two bodies who are acting out a fantasy program on that, well, good on you. You're basically just leaving and playing some other game that's not happening in the minds. But if you've got if you've got a person, either one or both, and often they'll be interchangeable. So you might meet a program that could be real for a moment, but then realizes, oh my God, this is way too uncomfortable. I need to get back to my artificial program, you know. But if you are entering with one body that's real, it's a very different playing field in lovemaking.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean there's a lot of people who are doing it who are like you said, they're thinking that they're doing tantra, like they're trying to alchemize something. So I know a lot of men who are trying to alchemize lust, and I think they don't realize that a psychological part of them is actually trying to escape the lust, because the lust that they feel towards a woman makes them feel weak or powerless. And then they're just capitulating to that like formation, that psychological formation.
Because ultimately they're probably coming from a programming themselves. Like that, you're either real or you're not. You either know what you're doing there or you don't. It seriously is like that. When you go deep inside of your body and you're real, you actually don't know what part of the body is going to open itself, nor what wisdom it's going to give, right? And the ultimate desire is to be inside woman. And that's really going to shatter the man's independence program.
Mm.
And he's not going to know what to do because, hang on, he's got to walk around the world and do his own thing. And then you've got all the programs related to, but my mother was my deepest enmeshment, and all sorts of things start to come up now. So you really just want a lover who like wants to be real, wants to be real and wants to do the work when he realizes that he's not. um, because there's going to be all sorts of psychological warfare, literally warfare,
Mm.
to leave that reality, the absolute reality. And that's okay. That means you're not as grounded as what you think.
Mm.
And it's going to hurt a little bit, and then you're going to have to pick yourself up and you're going to have to brush yourself off and you're going to have to really work out what's true here.
Mm.
I mean, that's really all you can do as a woman when that happens.
Mm.
And where am I still uh, connected in with fantasy about, where am I allowing myself to still be seen as the mother? Where am I? But this is deeper than, you see all those posts, you see all these people out there now talking about this. But it's theoretical. It's not, it's
Yeah.
very, very different. Yeah. It's very, very different to face it in the body.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And most of the people who speak about it are theoretical, and they're constantly coming up with different ideas about what we're really doing together. And a lot of it is constant like psychological analysis, but you're just creating more matter to discuss. And um, I guess one thing I want to ask you that I struggle with, and I think there's a lot of confusion around this, especially because I've been in some tantric communities and there's a lot of confusion about it. But this, like as women, we enjoy feeling a man's lust towards us to some degree, or to a strong degree, that free spiritedness and openness, and just I would say it's lust. I would use that word though, because we do enjoy that. But I want to understand. Some people say when you start, making love, just have a little bit of lust to get it started, and then after that, you don't need it as much. It's just a very gray area, this concept and what it really means.
Mm. Yeah, recently I had quite a personal experience with lust whereby I had been doing very, very just pure, neutral, still point lovemaking, because I didn't feel like I could trust the masculine aspect that was entering me to guide any kind of lust, lustful, uh, lustful experience into something pure. Because ultimately, you think if you're 12, you still feel a level of ignition, but you don't know where it's going to go. To me, it's not really lustful. It's innocence. It's innocence.
Mm.
It's connecting the bodies in ways that feel sensual and joyful without a perspective of what that means, nor what you're going to get out of it.
Mm.
And that is a very different kind of, I mean, yeah, it's like if you're, I mean, basically the body's like an instrument. You still want to know its range. You want to know its range,
Mm.
but you don't want to have, it's like if you're playing a note, and you've got an air guitar or, you've got a guitar and you start like playing with it and you realize it can go up to these different octaves and everything, but you don't perceive where that is going to take you and you don't attach to how far it'll go
Mm.
or when it will, pop, when you do, so that's a very different thing. You play in sexual expression and territory, but without an idea of what kind of music you're going to get from that.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And something, and it touches my heart because it is like jumping into an abyss. Like you can't, there's just darkness in a way that you have to face. You don't know. I almost feel like you don't know the degree to which your body is matter or what it's
Yeah.
made of.
Yeah, you don't. And you don't even know why you're doing it. And you only discover that in the moment when you have no mind. And you do these things that you could possibly think are kinky, let's say, and they're not. I mean, I realize most humans have a want to do a certain expression, but not because of why they think,
Mm.
because it's the most natural unfoldment of the body, because the body's leading you into an understanding of itself. It's very, very different. And yeah, it's innocence. It's innocence.
Mm.
Mm. And you have to be careful, or you be careful, like you, depending on the program of the two lovers, if there's shame related to sexual activities that you end up that you participate in, then it's possible to then project dirtiness onto what's taking place.
Mm.
So it's really a matter of staying clear of programmed notions of why the body is doing what it's doing. That's the innocence.
Mm.
And that requires mastery
And courage.
and courage, massive courage.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me what most people don't have today, I feel it's courage, like on the most base level. I mean, I see that in myself too. And I feel like
Yeah.
in
You
our,
say that.
no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, can you say more? And I think you're about to. So,
Well, I was saying, I think there's something, especially with being a woman, there's something in this world where I know you were just talking about like the Jordan Peterson podcast. It's, um, you feel you feel weak in a way because men's sexuality does give them a certain independence, and you want that independence for yourself. And then we're taught to behave in these ways that will gain it. And it requires courage to admit to ourselves what we're really trying to do, what we're really doing.
yeah. And ultimately, that is not the absolute reality. So, if it's not the absolute reality, you're never going to get power from there. But it's almost as though men and women connect sexually, and on some level, so in the beginning, everyone's like, yeah, we're so united. Yeah, we're so united. It's such a, I can be dependent on you. You can be dependent on me, because they use the dependence, like we can merge together. And then gradually there's this individuation that people talk about, when really it's, I'm not going, and if a woman believes in the absolute oneness and the merging, really it's about her masculine getting her to believe again that they're separate, and
Mm.
then you're in trouble. And ultimately that reality will be redundant for you, because it's not true, and it's certainly not the experience of the feminine.
Mm.
You can't have the masculine independence ultimately if you're a feminine being and you have a yoni and things are entering you all the time. But I have had lovers say, like, it is so earth-shattering what I bring. I mean, for some reason, I seem to be able to hold it. But you can imagine, I have a lover, they realize always. I have not had one lover in the last, I don't know, however long, not realize that their lingam was inside of me infinitely. But after that, that broke apart their mind,
Mm.
because it was like, well, what do I do with that? Where does that, I just want to be a normal man who thinks I can go in and out.
Mm.
And I don't know what to say to that, like, but it's not true. Okay, but if that's the illusion you need to live, then that's what you need to live. I mean, and it's not true.
It's funny because I've heard you say this, I think, a few times, and this was the first time that it actually hit me, where I understood something about it. I understood that I know deep in my body that we are united, and I'm constantly doubting that. And that's what you're saying, is that split inside is the untruth. Like that's kind of
Yeah,
fundamental. Yeah.
yeah. And male influencer podcasts, you have to be very, very careful, because you, here's the thing as well, they're getting you to believe that the man's more powerful on some level because of that split. And that is not a true state of our being. We're not split.
Mm.
We're not split. And so, as a woman, to be truly empowered. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that regardless of whatever man she gets involved with, I mean, regardless of whatever experiences she has, where she is told that she is separate, regardless of any of those experiences, she is enamored with her own experience of being merged. I mean, that she is one with the absolute reality of what is true. in her body.
Yeah, it's extremely mystical on some level. It's
Yeah.
really like a dissolution of the material world is what it is. And you have to be
Yeah,
willing to take on that adventure.
you do. And you really don't know. You do not know the parts, because I always say that your masculine are your parts, and you do not know the parts. You don't know how far they're going to go because you don't know it in yourself. It's an unknown quantity. You just don't know. And they could look like they're all in, and then everything could collapse.
Mm.
Because when you're at that place, you're at the core of the existential
Mm.
wounding of our psyche, where the
Yeah.
split actually happened. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And you'll have experiences with that part that are beyond, because that are beyond comprehension,
Mm.
beyond comprehension, and they have to be. And yeah, because the split is, we don't know what, because it's a split ultimately from God, and it's a split from when we stopped realizing we were God. So then you're going to meet the human part that says, I'm not God and I'm not going to play this God game with you anymore. I thought this God game was going to give me something. I thought it would heal every single wound of mine as a human, and it's not. And now it's getting too difficult.
Mm.
I'm going to go back to being human on this planet.
Yeah, yeah, I need to just live my normal life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I've said that to myself many, many times.
yeah, yeah. But there are some systems, mine, and according to you, they're quite rare. I cannot go back to not knowing that I am God.
Mm.
Everything that I do and everything that I am and everything that I sense in the moment is one. And so I go against a fundamental truth in my system
Mm.
doing that.
Mm. Did you ever feel like, did you have a period of doubting it and going back and forth? Like that sort of.
God, I actually have to try. Do you know I have to try to remember? Because they were a series of like embodied experiences. They're not psychological. So I've got nothing to go back to. I remember that I lived a life where I didn't know this knowledge. I kind of vaguely remember that
Mhm.
in this moment. I vaguely remember, yeah, not knowing this existed in my body.
Mm.
But I don't remember, I
Mm.
must have struggled. Yeah. I'm remembering now. Yes, yes. I remember having, and I'm still being challenged in that way. For me, it's been in the absolute act of lovemaking where the doubt comes in.
Mm.
The ultimate point of, like, the point of creation, the original point of creation. And I've had men, or the masculine part in me literally confront me with this being rubbish in lovemaking.
Hmm. And what do you say?
Either they can't feel it, or I've had people tell me they're dying, or all sorts of things. Like, can you imagine you visit God and you make it hell?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm having like an image in my head of when have you ever seen I don't know, there's science fiction films where someone's being torn apart when they face some kind of entity or light. It's like their body gets torn apart into pieces and they're broken open.
Oh, no, I've never seen that.
You probably don't watch as many films as I do, but I was I frequently go back and read some of your earlier posts, like from 6 years ago or something, just because I'm curious about your journey a lot of times. And even when I read something you wrote 6 years ago, I realize that's already, like 100 years ahead of most of us.
Yeah. Mm, yeah. And I've probably forgotten that I wrote it. Yeah. There was a page I used to have called Light on Man and Woman. And now I've lost all that writing. I don't know where it is. And it was right at the beginning. Yeah, it was right at the beginning. And I was talking all about mothers and sons already, and fathers and daughters. And I was talking about addiction a lot. And I don't know where any of that writing went because I didn't keep a very good record of it. And I also, you're going to say
I
something?
was gonna say particularly that mother, son, father. I've brought that up to people and I've noticed it immediately shuts people down. Like it's an aspect that you're not allowed to speak to people about that because it's so buried inside.
Yeah, and people started talking about it way later than I had written about it. Yeah, there wasn't, and I don't remember when. I asked my sister, when did I go online? She goes, I remember you started with Light on Man and Woman, you know?
Yeah.
And also I talked about on this page, visiting like etherically, and I don't know if I hadn't started Stillpoint Lovemaking, etherically visiting another body and making love with them. I need to get the charger. Sorry, Rachana.
Okay, I
Just
can pause
realized.
it.
Yeah. I hadn't started Stillpoint Lovemaking.
There.
Yeah. I hadn't started Stillpoint Lovemaking. I hadn't, because honestly, that year of Stillpoint Lovemaking, like that changed, that reconfigured my whole system. That was pivotal. That was pivotal. Um, but I had been doing it for slogging, basically. Shouldn't say slogging, but just chop wood, carry water in the background with all different masculine aspects that I was meeting one after the other or learning from. But I realized that etherically people visit each other to make love before they've even met or when they meet. So I was already talking about that,
And
you
how did you
know.
realize that? You mean you had a dream of that, or you just you knew it?
Well, I definitely experienced it from my own tantric experience with a teacher who I stayed with for a short time. I went to him to affirm in my body that what I had been sensing or perceiving was actually fact, was absolute reality, was true, because no one could mirror that back to me. And I had been doing body work and could feel other people's experience in my own body.
Mm.
So I was already making love with people on the table. They may not have been aware of it, or they were aware of it, depended on the versions of me that I would meet through them, um, which were many and varied. And at some point, I wanted to have that witnessed and confirmed in a real sense from my masculine aspect. And that's when I had the tantric experience.
Mm. That was what, 10 years ago, right? Oh.
Yeah, could be a little bit more.
Mm.
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, probably just over 10. Yeah. Mm.
I guess, and I'm curious now, speaking with men, in my meditation communities. With your work, I know where the women go. We go down into the cervix, and where do the men go? Like where do you station your awareness?
In the lingam, and also like feeling, like really becoming aware that your lingam is inside of the woman's yoni, and then going very, very close to the cervix. And there's a particular frequency there. It actually plugs both into source. It's not easy to, it's like, it's so precise and accurate, and it almost feels counterintuitive to make love in this way. And the reason being is because most people go into a body and don't want to know they're in the body, in another person's body.
Mm.
They don't want to realize that, because it would blow apart this world.
Mm.
So they kind of have to snatch. Now you get what I mean, don't you? That they're wanting source, but they have to go in and they have to pretend that they're not really going in. And this is particularly men, because women are already connected to source, but they have to go in and pretend that they're not, that they're kind of just cavorting in there and get out real quick.
Yeah, and that's the suspicion that they have towards the woman, is the doubt that they feel when they're inside of themselves, because they know they're lying to
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. I mean, they really are. And they're really lying that they're not desiring of woman, who is God herself, who is God in in form for him to go into, so that they can both be God and goddess together, that they can become one, which was the original template of us, which we both reflect. So it's an interesting game when it comes down to. And I have noticed though that the body itself has
Mm.
so much wisdom in those places as well. So it's informing the lovers what needs to um, refine
Mm.
in them in order to go deeper and to carry more light to be able to move away from that experience together as two bodies and leave with more light.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's what I find so special about your teaching is I find myself quite agitated when I listen to therapists, podcasts, all sorts of, there's so many things, and it's because they're teaching you how to be functional in a way. Like it's all about functionality, how to manage the relationship, how to manage the world better. It's not about destruction and rebirth. It's not, even if they say it's about that, it's not really about that. It's about managing the system.
Yeah. Can you say more about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of advice that people have that I've listened to about, we just talked about how long, what if he doesn't what if he texts you this, and what if they're not showing up in this way, and people have all sorts of advice about how do you handle differences about, money and having children and all of this, and they're all kind of it's all like a smoke show, I would say. Like, because underneath all of that is these dynamics.
Yeah. And you've drawn this particular person to have like the specific body puzzle piece to obliterate all of that. And to support the psychological kind of competition between the parts.
The body puzzle piece.
However, sorry?
No, sorry, go ahead. I want to hear all of it.
No, what were you saying?
Because you
Yeah,
said they have
what
the
did you say?
body, you said they have the body puzzle piece. And I'm saying
Yeah.
you mean even etherically.
Yeah, the whole lot. Yeah. Like, because also what's going to happen is you're going to make love, you're going to hit into places that are going to be perfectly misattuned and attuned, right, to both. And then you're going to that's going to come up into the field, and you're going to now have to physically face it in a body way in this human realm. And how the two of you manage that is how deep you continue to go into lovemaking.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's all very intricately designed. But most people are only talking about the psychological or the emotional
Mm. And those
or
are
the behavioral. Yeah.
degrees of magnitude away from what the reality is.
Yeah. Because you know what's so piercingly uncomfortable is how much in lovemaking, this is what I've discovered, is that a man realizes that he's not superior to the woman. And whereas this world points everything to him being that. So, because he's physically stronger and he's usually economically stronger and he's usually, the programs themselves support his viewpoint. And then in lovemaking, if he goes in and he realizes he doesn't actually know anything there and he's been superimposing the world's perspective onto her body, and now he's kind of literally like destroyed. And it's not even something that she's wanting to do. It's an absolute truth. There's
Mm.
nothing she can do about it. If she starts to actually um, fully represent her experience, that's going to happen.
Mm.
And it's sort of what's kept him feeling confident. Oh, I know more than women, and especially my mother. This mother business and the father, all of this, that's just it's incredibly emotionally retarding at this point on
Mm.
our planet. And so the other thing that men have said to me, my lovers, I really didn't realize that women were actually had anything.
Mm.
I really didn't realize that women deserve respect.
Mm.
Now, the reason being is because what I'm bringing, what I'm sharing with women is what their ultimate power, their deepest connection and sovereignty that men are not aware of. They're actually not aware of. So it's a shock when they go in there and realize, oh my God, women actually are closer to God.
Mm.
And here's the visceral, tangible proof for a man who's done meditation or who knows energy.
Mm.
Now, what's crippling for the man is that he's asked for that to be shown to him. Otherwise, she would not appear.
Mm.
So it's effectively like saying to God or reality or a higher power, show me what is love. I'm busting to know because this world is feeling artificial to me. Then he gets shown, and then he goes, "Oh no, I didn't know it was going to look like that, and I didn't know it was going to mean I have to honor woman.
Mm.
I thought it was going to put me in more strongly."
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I can feel a lot of actually anger at women at times because I feel like we willingly give up this sovereignty, or we try to embrace it in fake ways like feminism, or just um but I feel that it's up to the woman stop stop denying that of themselves. Like, I almost feel like it's not even about the men. I partly feel women are afraid of stepping into that much energy inside.
yeah, because I think you can fry
And also we
the
so
masculine.
badly want to feel, sorry, go ahead. But I was saying we so
I didn't know how powerful it is, Oh, sorry, we keep talking.
yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I didn't even I didn't even know how powerful it is. Like I think um
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was saying, we really badly want to feel man's lost authority, like that sense of authority that I feel they had originally. And we want to feel that so badly that we'll just give the fake authority. And I find
Yeah.
the polarity teachings actually quite interesting because of that, because now I'm sure you've been in those communities. There's all these people showing text message chains and saying, "Oh, is this polarity and is this me being too masculine?" And
Uh no, I don't know too I know about the polarity scene, obviously. I mean, I think it happens with this work is that you're so grounded in your body, or you know the truth, that you kind of go, well, that can't be true. So I better work out where that's not true, because otherwise I'm going to be in an illusion. That's the same as if a man gets you to believe that you're not as desirable to him anymore. Well, that's an illusion. Now you can live it, and you can live it, and you can believe him for a while, but eventually, but that's not true power, is it? It's not true power if it doesn't come from absolute reality. It's a made up one.
Mm.
And if you're going to live that, then you're in an illusion, and it's not going to feel good on your system, and you're going to know it. And yeah, like you're saying, I think at some point the woman wants to have the man, when you get him to believe that he's sovereign or has that authority, then you're hooking into an illusion, and it will only last for so long. And for some people, yeah, it can be lifetimes. And eventually you are going to have to face the divine masculine and divine feminine path. And by that, I mean the principal creatorship energies. And that means you've got to break up with your mother, break up with your father, start looking at why you're trying to rescue these parts, start looking at why you're having a love affair with your mother. Because, we will all return to our soul aspects. There's just no other way for it.
Yeah, it's a prophecy in a way.
Yeah. And you're not meant to be having sex with your mother, and you're not meant to be having sex with your father. And so you've really got to look around and see who these men that I'm attracting, what are they doing and as you go deeper into your body, it also gives you I don't want to use the word archetypal, because I don't even really know what that means, but there's like a symbolic, there is definitely a maybe mythical. I mean, there's no language for me, because I have learned this from my body. I have not looked at what other people are doing. There's been no one that I know that I can look to for this.
Yeah,
And if I did go in, say with the tantric teacher, there were things that I knew were very misaligned for my body, and that I needed to excavate more inside of myself to fully represent the absolute reality. So I don't think I follow anyone. I don't follow anyone to get this information. And so I'm using language so loosely, but there's these archetypal templates, or templates based on myth, you know, that definitely play out. Um, yeah, and if you go with a man who's still in love with his mother, then he's going to want you eventually to be his mother. Or if he's struggling with loving his mother, but like struggling loving his mother or feels closer to her intention, he is going to need to create tension between the two of you. And that means you have a masculine aspect that is doing the same thing within. And all you can really do is get really honest with yourself about where you're at. That's all,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.